to motion restrict or immobilize, if you will?
Bone above and below.
The bone above and below. If I have a long bone injury, what do I want to immobilize? The joints above and below. So we're going to start from the top. We're going to go all the way down to the ankle. And so let's talk about, so Mike, since you're right there, we're going to talk about the clavicle and dislocated shoulder. So what I'm going to need for that is I'm going to need at least 3 cravats. And I hate all of these cravats. I might send you to go get some stuff from that are better.
You want me to? I'll just go grab a big sack full of crap.
I actually have new ones in my bag.
Where's your bag? We can replace them. Well,
I can
we're
do
fine.
it.
I think we'll be okay. So you always want, you're using cravats, when you're using stuff, you don't want you don't want to get anything less than about 2 inches thin. You want it at least 2 inches thick or wide, if you will, because then it becomes a rope. Well, over time, when we've been using these over and over and over again, they have become pretty much rope-like. So that's not a good thing, because then what that might do is start cutting off circulation. So what I'm going to do, let's say Mike has a dislocated shoulder or clavicle fracture, okay? So he's going to kind of present like this. So if you can stand up, it helps a little bit that too, okay? He's going to kind of present like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is check CSM. Okay, pulse is present. Can you feel me touch your fingers? Can you wiggle them for me? Good. So I'm going to create a modified wrist sling, okay? Because I want you to start thinking about how this stuff does. If we use the typical Boy Scout sling, or the sling that you see in books, where it kind of goes over the shoulder or elbow, you don't want any pressure going up, pushing the shoulder in, or even anything going up, pushing the clavicles together. You kind of want to do a little bit of traction, So I want to create a modified wrist sling. So all I'm going to do is slide a cravat around his wrist. I'm going to do a couple of twists right here, and the reason for that is that I don't want it to tighten up and then cut off his circulation to his hand, okay? This is going to go over the good side, good shoulder, and this is going to go over the uninjured, or the injured shoulder, underneath. We don't ever want to go over the injured shoulder or the injury, okay? I'm going to make my tie up here. Technically, I should be using gauze for any kind of knots to keep them comfortable, okay? So that's going to help keep this, is it tightening? Keep this getting, you don't want him to move either. And he's not going to want to move, it hurts him, okay? But this is going to keep it from having just to kind of dangle, okay? So a couple of little things. I want something for position of function. So I'm going to grab a roll of gauze, and I'm going to put this in his hand for position of function, okay? And I'm going to create 2 swaths. A swath is basically, we're going to do an anatomical splint. We're going to splint his arm to the body. And because we have a shoulder involvement or a clavicle involvement, I don't want to put anything that's going to put pressure up here. Does that make sense? So both of the swaths are going to go below mid-shaft of his humerus. Okay, so both below, basically below this. The first one I'm going to do is I'm going to do close to the elbow. And so because he has that modified, that thing for position of function, I want to create a little basket for it, just for fun. This is extra. This is customer service, which I'm not very good at customer service anyway. That's why I don't answer the lifestyle phones. Okay? I'm like, what the hell do you want? Okay. So, it's true. It is. That's why Steven put his wife on it. This is not big enough.
It'll do.
And all I'm doing is creating a little basket. Okay, it's not very much bigger than it was earlier. Okay. Okay. This is going to kind of go over his hand.
Fingers.
Yeah. And then I'm going to tie it. So do y'all know how to do surgeon's tie? Have we talked about that yet? No? So a surgeon's tie is really, really simple. So you know how when you do a knot, you go over once and you tighten it and see how it's kind of loosening up automatically just because it's his body? Well then I'm going to go, actually instead of just going around the loop once, I'm going to do loop twice and it doesn't move, okay? And then I'm going to do another tie and there, voila, I have my square knot. I'm going to put some gauze there. This will work. And that's going to make it snug, okay? I'm going to do another cravat. Again, because it's a clavicle and or shoulder, I want it low. I want to pull a little bit of traction. And so I'm going to go below mid shaft, and I'm going to do the same thing.
So how would you put it if you didn't make that pocket? Would you just run it underneath the hand, or would you actually run it over the top of the hand?
I would go over the top of the hand.
Over the top of the hand, just going across it.
Yeah. The reason for that is, the reason for that is, did it work? Fine, okay.
Yeah.
Is, because sometimes what people tend to do, especially with the modified wrestling, they'll start doing this. And that can be very uncomfortable with it. And what may happen is if things heal that some way, sometimes it'll just cramp up or stay like that. So you want it in position of function, okay? Then I would check CSM. Can you feel me check, pulses are present, can you feel me check your fingers? Can you wiggle them for me? And that is a shoulder and a clavicle, okay? Now, humerus. You know, it's the exact same thing with one minor little difference. The second one goes, we're going to assume that the humerus is a mid-shaft fracture, so one swab below and one swab above the fracture site. And that's a humerus. Voila. That's 3 skills in one session. Okay? Ready? Play. You got 3 minutes.